Today's topic is Analytics Desktop 10. This is a basic demo of how to use and develop visualizations and dashboards with MicroStrategy Analytics Desktop 10. What we're going to start with is a data set that we're going to utilize. So this is a data set that I created using the MicroStrategy tutorial. It has simple items like category, subcategory, year, quarter, revenue forecast, and profit. Nothing special about it. I'm going to save that or export that into Excel so I can utilize it as a source. Again, the idea here is how do you utilize visual insights? Do you use an item within your environment, or use an item from an external item from outside your environment? Either way, it should work the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to export this file, and then I'm going to use this data as a source for my visual insight. Okay, so let me go back here to my home and then show you the Excel export of what we just saw. So this is the Excel export of what we just saw. So what I'm going to do is first create a dashboard from an external data set. You can start by creating the dashboard and importing the data set into it, or you can start the opposite way. I prefer to start with adding the data set first. Okay, so I'm going to add the external data set, which was an Excel file. So I'm going to use it from disk, choose files, and here it is, my demo data set. So I'm going to prepare my data down here, and it's asking me which sheet do you want. I'm just going to take one sheet, the quarter, the one that I just showed you. Okay, at this point I'm preparing my data. So what it's doing, it's saying I recognize your fields, and I recognize your metrics, and I recognize their types. So if there's something that you see that's odd, this is where you go and you change the data type. If it's not text, for example, if it's integer, if it's a geography, for example, you can use the geography to do some mapping here. If it's supposed to be a metric, you can convert it, you can reject it, and you could rename it, or you could map it to your project if you're using the enterprise version. Okay, so one thing I noticed here, an empty column. Okay, so what do I need to do? I don't want it, so I'm going to remove it from do not import. There you go, it's gone. So now here we see our metrics also on this side. Now there's an opportunity for us to do a few things here. Editing or renaming for our table. We can define relationships. This could be important here. This allows us to build hierarchies on the fly. So subcategory is child of category, quarter is the child of a year, and the relationship is one to many in this case. Okay, you can add some and remove some. This allows you the drilling capability. What MicroStrategy does for you, it tries to identify some popular parent-child relationships, and it also looks at your data set and sees what order they are in to kind of figure out the relationship. It is not necessarily going to do it always for you, so you might want to double check this if you have specialized hierarchies. Okay, once you're done with that, you save. I'm ready to go to my next step. Let's go to the wrangle. This is one more step that MicroStrategy is allowing you to do. It's allowing you to do some operations on your, either on the individual columns, or you can select columns. For example, column 5, and we can delete this column. Alright, you could select a metric, and you could remove cells where it's empty, etc. You could select functions that operate on it. It's sort of a mini ETL ability. You know, you have the facet, you have the extract, and you have the find and replace characters, splitting. So it's giving you a list of operations you can perform. Notice it'll keep a history, a track of everything that you are doing. Once you're done with all the operations you've done on, again, you can do it from down here as we said. You're done with that, you can go ahead and accept your changes. And now we're done. We're back down here. Now I'm done with my data import. I'm going to finish. It's asking you to give it a name. Give it a proper name so that you can remember it later. So I'm going to save it here and saved. Okay. Once it loads, the next question is asking you, do you want to create a dashboard document or report? Let's create a dashboard. And now it's going to bring you that Analytics desktop interface, and you notice that it has your cube right here, and everything you brought back with it. Now the next step is, how do you start creating them? We have multiple ways of going about this. You can start by creating the visual, by choosing the visual first, but I prefer to create the grid first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a few items over, maybe category, maybe quarter. Let's use revenue on the metrics. Okay, and rename my visualization to my top grid. Okay, enter. I could clear the data, I could show totals, and I could do some swapping of items. Okay, so there's a lot of control that I can do here. I could also go here to year, more information, like maybe add year. Do that. You could also, because you have a hierarchy, you could drill to different levels of your information, so you can get more information out of it or more detail out of it. Once you're done with creating your grid, you're satisfied with it, you could convert it to a visualization. But before we do that, we could probably just duplicate it. Let's duplicate it so that we can maintain our grid. You can see it in a grid format, and now we can change our visualization to, let's see what we have. We have a long list of them, and we have some that are out of the box and some here that I added manually. Look out for a different video to see how you can add external widgets to your Visual Insight or your Analytics desktop. Okay, so now we're going to choose something that might work for our data. I'm going to look into the bar chart first. Okay, so it's giving us each category and it's splitting the different years. So this might not be a very clear one, maybe a heat map, and I can now choose it from here instead of choosing from visualization. So you have that second option right here. And there you go, it's separating by different years. You might want to remove some item or add some to get some clarity. Let's go to change visualization back to grid. Let me get rid of quarter and see how that. Okay, so this might be a little bit better. It's giving us the where the revenue was bigger in each category by year, so you have a little bit of information about that. You know, there's an improvement in this product area, or there's a loss. Remember that you still have all the typical MicroStrategy functionality, such as sorting, aggregation. You have the ability to create calculations. You have formatting control, and you have threshold and formatting. Okay, and then you have the rename, replace, and remove. So you could always sort, for example, ascending, descending. Let's do it descending by the revenue. So it's going on by revenue and sorting them and showing you the different years and categories that align with the different revenue levels. Sorting is just for this visualization, not for everything else. So you're controlling one piece at a time in this case. Okay, and thresholds are not new, they're the same. So you can have color based, image based. So here we have the different colors. Let's go with a different one, red, yellow, green. Let's change the percentage by dragon, and I could change it also to be by value or reverse highest percent, lowest percent, etc. I could also click to add a new color. I could hover under and add a new block. So you see there's a lot of power with these, and they're very easy to use. You can also break by levels. So if I want to base it on revenue, custom color, and break it by category because I don't want it to lump everything, and apply, I will get the color coding by category for the different information. Right click on this and keep it, or control and click many. Say I want to click only these and look at them. Only these I can keep only. Now I got a smaller window of the data that I had. Obviously the threshold is going to reset again because it's a dynamic threshold, and now even though all of them were green, but this is a percentage lowest, and the color is going again and breaking it into the 4 different colors that we have. So the threshold is also dynamic in this case. You also have the ability to add filters. So you can go here and add to your sheet a filter. And let's say you wanted to filter by a specific, let's just go by the quarter. And let's just go with Q4. So I'm going to remove them all first, and then I'm just going to add Q4 and Q4 here, and Q4 down here. So this is my filter. It allows me to control which piece of my data that I want to see. And again, it's just toggling between these tabs over here. So hide this box if I don't want the user to see it. I can also add more sheets right down here, just like an Excel spreadsheet. You can add more sheets and start creating more objects. Once you're done, you can go back to your former sheet, and you can rename your sheet or move them around to reorder. And after you made some changes, let's say you go to a visual like this and you want to undo your selection, you can clear all and bring back all your different items. This is not including the filter, so you still have that filter operational here. It's still showing us just Q4. And you can, after you modify something, you might decide to change the visual. That's easy. Just go here and change the visual again. Maybe a pie chart would work here. Not sure. So it's showing us the different quarters lumped up by year and showing us the revenue relative to that quarter. Okay. For every one of these visualizations, you will see some properties associated with it. Each one has different associations with it. So you want to fit it to the container or the content. You want banding. There's more options sometimes for joining. Do you want the revenue to be outer joined if it's a metric? Do you want the filtering to intersect with all selections, to be the intersect of all selections? Or do you want it to be the last selection only? Depends on what you're looking for. And you want to show the attribute form names. If you have form names, you can use them as well. So, you know, you can play with this, change your joins if you need it to be an inner join, etc. Save. And each one, as said, has different properties. So this one would have a few different properties. You can explore each one of them. There's a lot of different things that, you know, each widget has that is a little bit different than the other. So, you know, you could change color ranges, for instance, for your heat map, etc. Just like the threshold thing, it's pretty similar. What you could do also is make your report or dashboard a little bit more dynamic by creating the selection option by using as a filter. So you say use my top grid filter, which is this here. Use it to filter the target. Let's target that copy. And you want it to filter or highlight. Let's keep it as filter and allow the user to clear all. Okay. So now when you select, exactly, you should start seeing data just relevant to the pie that you're selecting here. And this changes dynamically. You could also do multiple selection if you hold the control button. So if you select 2 at a time, that can do that for you. And then you can right click and include and exclude if you want to remove anything else. So now your pie is excluding those 2 and keeping you with one piece of information. Okay, so there's a lot of analysis that you can build on top of this. You could also do some cosmetic changes as well. You have the titles that you can change, so you can hide the titles as well, not only rename them, so that there might be unnecessary, they've taken too much real estate. You can do that. You could also add from here, you can add text areas or images or HTML containers like a link to a website. So, you know, this is my dashboard. Alright, so once you're done with doing your customization, now it's time to either share, so you can go and start sharing. You can present, you can go to presentation mode. There you go. And once you're done, you can go back. You have a little drop down here that brings you back that breadcrumb if you're using the enterprise, or takes it away to your full screen. You have the ability to save, to add more data, to add more visuals from here, to do some formatting for the whole dashboard, color formatting and dashboard formatting. So here's some dashboard formatting basics that you can look into and start playing with the overall. Do you want the overall font, the overall color, etc. for their containers? You can also go to File and start saving, exporting to PDF, adding to history, scheduling, sending, similar to sharing. And you can look into some of the dashboard properties that we showed, or convert to a document. Convert to a document is the step that I would say is handing over a dashboard over to the developer or an advanced user, which would take it to a next step and convert it into a MicroStrategy enterprise dashboard, which takes everything you built here but gives the developer a little bit more control to make it pixel perfect, so it allows them to create more detail on top of what you created. So the analyst could build something and pass it over by converting it to a document, or saving it and letting the developer convert it to a document and create the pixel perfect, or add the more detail, I would say, to your design. You also have the power to create new calculations or derived metrics in your dashboard. So for instance, you could go ahead here and you could click two of these. I'm using the control button to click both. Right click and create a calculation. For instance, profit over revenue. And now you have a new metric that can be added or replaced, etc. So you can create multiple calculations using the metrics that you already have created in your environment. Okay, once you're done, again, let's just save this and exit. I'll ask you what do you call it. Just call it. And I'm going to go home. And here I'm just going to look at, and there it is, and this is the cube that I created. If there's anything I need to edit, I can edit it from here. If there's anything I need to modify with my cube, I can edit my cube here, or republish it, or schedule it to run on a regular basis. If I do edit it, then I'm back here to this editor where I can make the modifications, exclude, include, or even add more data to my, or more tables to my cube. And as long as I don't remove anything, I won't break anything in my dependent dashboard. Now this is dependent on this cube, which means, you know, you can't delete the cube without deleting this first. So with that in mind, you know, you have to always remember that you're building things on top of each other. It's a layer, or one layer at a time. And again, the scheduling is for if you have data that gets refreshed nightly or daily or monthly, you can schedule it to refresh as you need, or you can republish it yourself so it can grab new data if you updated your source. Okay, and once you're done with that, you can also create other dashboards. You're not stuck with that one dashboard or one report, and you can share your cube by giving access to other users to access your cube, or limiting other people's access. Alright, thank you very much, and look forward for another demo with more detail on how to use the cubes with analytics dashboards.